Hello everybody, my name is King Raven, and welcome to the video. Wow, this is my first, quote-unquote professional, video, or, well, not video specifically, because I've made other whatever. It's my first professional, quote-unquote, speed paint video, though, so that's exciting. I did want to start this video out by saying that a few small announcements slash updates. The reason why I didn't post last Friday was because I was moving. So that's exciting. And not only that, I was planning on posting like a little update video while I was in the process of moving, but that did not pan out, clearly. So I just decided to wait until I could officially finish a proper video and get it uploaded all nice and neat and a little bow for everyone. The other thing I wanted to announce was that I will be getting my other alt channel up and running very, very soon. So I'll probably, when it's officially done and ready to go, ready to rumble, I will probably link that in the description of whatever video that is. But it's essentially just going to be a channel for vlogs and miscellaneous videos, like commentaries and all that fun stuff. So that's exciting. And then I will be streaming very soon. We're still in the process of moving and decorating and all that fun stuff. So it'll be a bit, but until I can do that. But yeah, until then I will be just doing the best that I can, essentially. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So to give a little bit of context as far as the plot of this story, because I'm drawing one of the main characters of a story that I'm currently working on. So just to give a small little synopsis of it, like the overarching plot, there are three main protagonists who explore the world of vengeance, magic, power, and mystery. They are determined to overthrow the heiress and princess Victoria from gaining the throne. How they achieve this endeavor will make or break them. One consults dark magics, one is gifted and blessed by the gods she is vowed under to get visions and dreams of the futures. She is an untrained oracle, and the other makes risky gambles to gain allies. Will their dareness be enough to stop the bloodthirsty princess? Will it be in vain? Are they even truly the good guys? Who's to say other than Father Time? So that's essentially like the main plot of the series. I'm not sure of the format that I want this story to go about either. Currently it's a book, and I was planning for the book to be sort of an illustrated young adult book, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted illustrations to be in the book. I kind of wanted it to be formatted like those fairy tale books, but I'm not sure how exactly that'll pan out. I'm not even sure if that will completely stick. I may make it a comic. I'm not entirely sure yet. But that's exciting, and I'm very, very excited to make this a series. Hopefully people want to see it. If not, that's cool too. But I love this story. It is my baby. It's I've spent literally years tweaking and just twiddling and messing around with this story and the different plots that it could go on, the character development, even the concept art, down to the concept art. It's crazy. And I have so many ideas for this story too. Like, I wanted to make a creature log type book that went with the story, like with the main plot, like having a log and all the anatomy reference sheets and stuff like that of the different creatures that are in the story. I don't know, I just think that would be fun and semi-unique to the story, at least. I'm sure other stories have done that before, where they'll have like little side books, I guess, that have different either maps or logging of creatures, or magic types, cursed items, stuff like that. Like, just, I guess, sort of D&D type of thing, but like not really. But yeah, I have a lot of ideas for the story because I love fantasy. It is one of my favorite things to write about. Fantasy and surprisingly sci-fi or action. Those two are those are my main ones that I thoroughly enjoy writing about and creating. No, not fantasies, but not fantasies. Creating stories for, and characters for, and art for. So I'm not sure how it'll pan out as far as the story goes, but in whatever way and format that it takes, I'm sure it'll be great. I'm extremely excited about it. So, yeah, let's actually start diving into Thomas and his character. Oh boy. Alright, so we'll start off light, because I will say, again, this story is more geared towards young adults or older teenagers, so it does have heavier topics within the story, and I'm not going to give away everything, obviously, because I'm, still tweaking on everything. I'm still trying to, figure out what's going to stick and what won't, stuff like that. I'm going through the drafting process, so I can't give everything away. That would ruin the plot, and that would ruin the story, and all the surprises and twists and turns. So I can't give everything away. But I will say that a lot of the story is more for quote-unquote mature audiences, because it does handle topics such as, family abuse, what else? Death, vengeance, even SA. It handles much heavier topics than, I guess typically what you would think of in a happy-go-lucky type story. It is not geared towards children, that's for certain. But, yeah, so, yeah, I just blinked a little bit, my bad. And I even have a script right in front of me, and I blinked. Anyways, so I'm gonna first start off light, because I want it to be a fun little speed paint, you know what I mean? We probably won't talk about all the heavy stuff, just because, again, I want it to be a fun speed paint where I talk about my characters and gush about them. But, yeah. So, originally, these characters, at least a large portion of them, not all of them, some of them are completely original, but some of them, and some of the main characters more specifically, started out as fan characters. And this is a pipeline that happens a lot within my stories. Even from my other story, it was a pipeline of fan character, then turning into, my own characters, and then, that plot changed, turned 180. My process is such a wacky thing sometimes. But, Thomas specifically, which is who I'm currently drawing, Thomas specifically originated as a fan character from, maybe this is too old for some of you guys, but back in my day, oh, I hate it when people say that, and here I am saying it. Yeah, suffer, deal with it. But back in my day, we didn't have the Dream SMP. You know what I had? As far as Minecraft roleplays went, I had Aphmau. Aw, yeah. So, Thomas originated as a fan character and like the son of two of her characters. So for those of you who don't know who Aphmau is, she is, or was, I don't know if she's currently still making videos. I haven't checked on her in like literally years, so I have zero clue if she's still making videos. But she was or is a Minecraft YouTuber who made quite a name for herself. Personally, I would say that she got popular for her Minecraft roleplays, but that's just me, because I have a bias towards them, because I love them. I more specifically loved her series, Minecraft Diaries. Yay! I've made fan art of Minecraft Diaries before, and I'll probably continue doing that, because I love it. But, yeah. He was based off as the son of Jean and Sasha. Yeah, I mean, his character design pretty much stayed the same, I would say. There's a few small differences if I look back at his old character design, which if I find any photos of his old character designs, I'll put them up on the screen. I don't know if I have them, but I really hope I do, because some of them were awful. Like his old designs, designs were rough, buddy. They were rough. They were not good. Like, I know that I was younger and I was still trying to figure out designing characters, but oh boy, were they rough. I can even see some of them. I think maybe I'm making this up, or maybe it was his brother, but I'm like 99% sure he had a white strip of hair, because I think his brother did too, because Sasha has white hair. So I was like, you know what? To make them look like Sasha's kids, I'll give him a little white streak of hair. Yeah, because that's cool. That's what the cool kids have. But, yeah, so he was based off of Jean and Sasha. He was their kid. You know what's funny? Is he didn't start off as like the fantasy character. He started off as the son of them from the My Street roleplay. My Street was basically all of the characters from Minecraft Diaries into a modern day time. So he was the kid of Jean and Sasha in modern times, but then I was like, no. I don't want to have a modern day story, because that's lame. Let's make it fantasy, similar to Minecraft Diaries. But then I completely changed it, and then I made my own laws and like creatures and map and everything, and then here we are. When I say that this story has been in the making for literally years, I mean it. Because Minecraft Diaries and My Street came out, oh boy, I want to say 2012? That's my guess. I could be wrong. It could be earlier. It could be later. Maybe it was 2016. I feel like it was... I don't know. I would have to look it up. Editor me, you got it. I believe in you. But, yeah. So it went down the pipeline of modern day time to fantasy to completely his own original character. And let me just say, when I first made him and his brother, oh my lord, you can tell that I was in middle school, because they were both extremely angsty. And I know it's not completely my fault, because the characters that they were children after were also incredibly angsty. But it still doesn't really excuse the amount of angst that happened. I mean, the angst didn't completely go away. I couldn't just bleach away all of their angst. No. It had to bleed through their current story, obviously. So they're not completely angst-free. But then again, what good character is completely angst-free? But, yeah. So he was super angsty. He was a teen when I first wrote him as well. I think he was around 16, 17 when I first made him. And then his brother was older than him, and he was 18 or 19, if I'm remembering correctly. But, yeah, it was a whole thing, because back in that old story of the modern day time, his brother, get this, so their mom, they have the same mom, Sasha, but Thomas has a different dad, Gene, than his brother, Jeffrey, whose father was, oh my goodness, his name just escaped me. Editor me, you got it, unless I can think of it. Good job, editor me. But yeah, they had different dads, same mom, and that storyline stuck through in the end plot. So, go me. Honestly, it was also kind of a little bit of a nod, because their mom, their actual mom's name is Sarah, Sasha, you know, a nice little nod back to the olden story. But yeah, it was rough. What Thomas did in his fun, for fun, back in the day, he would spray paint walls and vandalize and commit arson and bully other kids at school. Just for fun, just for the heck of it. He would write mean notes and then put them in people's locker because he had nothing better to do with his time. I think it was also an ongoing joke that his brother was still in high school when he was 19. I don't know why that was so funny to me, because there are 19-year-olds in high school. Heck, I graduated with someone who was 20 and he was in high school. So, it happens. Life happens. Hey man, nothing wrong with it. Past me, shame on you. That was extremely insensitive. Gosh, past me. Anyways, enough with the complete lightheartedness. Now we're going to talk about his personality, his current personality, because I described his old one. He was angsty, he was angry, he was just a jerk overall. Not a great person. And originally, I say originally, but he had 3 different originals. But in his more fantasy version, the very early version of fantasy version of Thomas. This is getting confusing very fast, but stay with me on the timeline, okay? Early fantasy version Thomas, drumroll please, was a bad guy. I know, never would have seen it a mile away. That's just, what a leap to go from, the high school bully and angsty teen to be a villain in a story? What the heck? That's never been done before. Good job, past me. This is obvious sarcasm. Yeah, he was not a great person in early fantasy version. He was actually a terrible person looking back on it. I don't know what the heck past me was going through or what they were thinking, but what the heck, little me? Some of the stuff that you had Thomas do is concerning. Why was he so bad? And I think the funniest part about it is that he was doing all these horrible things for such a petty reason. His main drive in early version fantasy Thomas, his main drive to do the bad things that he was doing was jealousy. And I get it, jealousy can take you a far way, it really can. But jealousy for a girl who was already married? Basically, the old plot this is so cheesy, and it was such a rip-off of Aphmau's. Well, sort of, in some aspects it was. But originally the plot was that Ziana, okay? Ziana was the main female protagonist, okay? We had Ziana, and then we had Jeffrey, who is Thomas's older brother. Okay? You catching my drift? So Ziana, aka Rose was Jeffrey's wife. Okay? Are you still following? Okay? Cool. Yeah. So Jeffrey and Rose were married, right? Right? Yeah. And then Thomas fell in love with Rose. Like, he was in love with her before they got married. Rose is the king's daughter, so she's a princess, okay? Jeffrey was the top guard. He was the captain, I believe, of the royal guard. So the king gave Jeffrey his blessing to marry her. And after a lot of convincing, it took a lot of convincing to convince the king to do that. And Thomas did not like that. He was angry. He was angry at his brother, and he was angry at Rose. He felt betrayed and heartbroken, and he just didn't know what to do with himself. So for some reason, he put that anger and resentment and whatever in a dormant phase for like a few years, because they had a kid. Thomas and Rose did. I mean, Jeffrey and Rose did. They have a kid, so he's now the prince and next in line to the throne. And then eventually Thomas just snaps. I don't even remember what his snapping point was, but he snaps, and he goes ham, and he killed Jeffrey's son and wife. So, yeah. Well, spoiler alert for past story plot. He didn't kill his wife. He gave her like a magical potion that made her pass out, fall asleep. So she looked like she was dead. She was pronounced dead, but she actually wasn't. 'Cause here's the crazy thing. He gave her a memory potion and wiped her memories of Jeffrey, and kept doing this every single time that she would remember, like, her past and who she was. He kept doing this because he wanted her to fall in love with her. So he kept tampering with her memory, and then he had the entire city, the entire capital, like this, basically the whole country, because he had the king under mind control, just so that he could be with her. Is that not the most ridiculous thing ever? Like, forget power, right? Forget being king, because if you have the power to control the king, you're basically the king. He didn't care about that. He just wanted to be in love. That is so sad. Anyways, it's safe to say that his personality has greatly increased. He definitely had a glow up from that very dark and just sad storyline and character arc. So we're all good in that department. And now we're going to talk about his current personality and all that fun stuff. So currently, and this is subject to change, obviously, I did want to keep some of the unhealthy aspects and red flags, quote unquote, that he had. So he is a very passionate and caring person. He deeply cares about the people that he loves and the people that he holds close to his chest. But he is very controlling, and he can be a manipulative person if he wants to be, and sometimes can come off as very cold-hearted. I mean, in all fairness, and what he does as a profession, kind of understandable, because with the nobles you have to be pretty cold-hearted and keep your cards close to your chest. But yeah, he can sometimes sometimes that work mindset leaks into his personal mindset, if that makes sense. So, like, he'll be having a conversation with Yamanya, who is his love interest, and another main character, because like I said, there's a trio. So he'll be having a conversation with Yamanya, and they'll be talking about something and having a deep conversation. And sometimes if he gets overwhelmed and a bit too emotional, he'll just become very cold-hearted like that. He'll be reserved. He'll want to drop the topic entirely. He'll want to not talk about it anymore, which can be unhealthy. Slay King. He is the type of person who would let the world burn if it meant protecting his loved ones. He is not out here to be a hero. He just isn't. I mean, he would obviously want what's best for everyone in the kingdom. He doesn't like this war. He's not a fan of it. There is a war currently going on, by the way. Not sure if I mentioned that in the synopsis. I think I did, but just so we know. He doesn't want to have a war, and he wants what's best for the kingdom. But if he had to pick between his loved ones and the kingdom, he is the type of person who would pick his loved ones. He would let the entire world burn if it meant for his loved ones to be safe. So, food for thought. Dark, tall, and brooding. Just the mixture for a simpable character. I'm just kidding, more or less. Anyways, he does have intrusive thoughts. And because he is a magician who works in necromancy and spirits, paired with those ghosts who are constantly nagging at him, constantly invading his mind, it can cause him to be very short-tempered and paranoid. It's very, very common for him to act without thinking and then regret it, obviously, if it's something very stupid. But yeah, he's very quick to act, and it's because of those intrusive thoughts, and it's because of those spirits who are haunting him and following him, nagging at him, invading his mind. It's not fun. Magic is it's a double-edged sword in this story. It's not like a fun, go-lucky thing. It takes a toll on the practitioner. No matter what type of magic it is, it takes a toll on them, which is what I specifically did, because I didn't want magic in this universe to be happy-go-lucky. And we'll get on the topic and the laws of magic and him as a sorcerer and all that in just a second. He's an extremely secretive and paranoid person. Especially when it comes to Driot, which is the native word for magic in this book, or however this story becomes. He's extremely paranoid and secretive about it. He even has some of his grimoires and even his Medius quill hidden within his house in case someone breaks in. Because again, he does live on the more high end of society. He's the Viscount to the king. For those of you who don't know what Viscount is, at least how I've come to understand it and how it's applicable in my story, the Viscount is underneath the Count. So as far as ranks go within this story, it goes the king, the count is like the right-hand man to the king, and then the viscount is the sort of second right-hand man to the king. He helps the count, and they make discussion and talk, and then the count talks to the king. The count could take the advice of the viscount, or he could just not take the advice of the viscount. But it's essentially just a title. It's a fancy title for saying, I'm very close with the king. But, yeah. So now let's talk about the laws of magic and sorcerers. Yay! So I especially wanted to talk about this within his speed paint because or at least his reference sheet, because it's a very key factor to his character. So yeah, let's hop to it. So, Driot, which is the Gaelic word for magic. I did use other languages for this book. Yeah, there's no really excuse for it. I just thought that it would be a smart thing to do. I know some authors like make up words and make up their own languages and all that cool stuff. I'm not that creative. So I was searching for, because I wanted words to mean literal, and this specific word was perfect for what I wanted to describe, and how magic is and how it behaves and what it is. So I used the word Driot, and I hope I'm saying that right because it's Gaelic and I'm not Gaelic, but I'm 99% sure that I said it right, and I've put the little like how to pronounce it on repeat, so hopefully I'm saying it properly, or at least semi well. But yeah, that's the word that I use for magic in this series. And then, as I mentioned before, medius, okay, that is a Latin word meaning in the middle, and basically the medius quill is what they're called. They're little like crystal quote-unquote quills. They're literally carved from different types of crystals, and they essentially use those quills to ink in sigils in their skin. They give themselves like tattoos, or they'll burn them and brand them in their skin. And I'll explain why. So Dreok is the magic within this story. It is extremely unpredictable and wild. In order to use it, you must channel it in some form, normally sigils. This can either be on wands, staffs, or other items, or it can be on skin using a medius quill. Normally, Driok I struggle sometimes, sorry. Normally, Driok sigils are carved or burned into wood, but when using a medius quill method, they are inked or burned into the sorcerer's skins. Driok is more of a burden than a gift at times. It has laws and limitations and works as an expansion of science. So essentially what that means is that it's chaotic. Raw Driok is very, very chaotic. It's unpredictable. It's dangerous. It is not something to be tampered with if you don't know what you're doing. This is why for a long time that sorcerers and Driok, a lot of Driok was banned in the kingdom. So yeah, let's hop to that little paragraph real quick. Sorcerers, or magicians / mages, I typically use the term mages or sorcerers within the story, but those are all synonyms for one another. And their practice was illegal for quite a few years. This was due to King Burton's Edmund, who is the current king. So King Edmund, who is the current king within the time that the story takes place, his father, just for clarity's sake, feared Driok. But the crown still kept the royal sorcerer. The royal sorcerer is the count. The royal sorcerer is essentially a family bloodline of very, very powerful sorcerers who have all of the knowledge, or at least known knowledge, about Driok and all of the forbidden books, all of the family grimoires, all that stuff. All that stuff is kept in the charge of the count and their bloodline. The count is in charge of essentially hiding that and keeping it safe and keeping that knowledge safe. But yeah, we love the crown's hypocrisy for that. Once King Burton was killed, Edmund legalized sorcerers and their practice under specific conditions, such as a sorcerer must be registered under the crown, basically saying like, hey, we need to know what you practice, we need to know your name, your living location, stuff like that. It's just like a head count, essentially. Forbidden magic / knowledge, so there is a an official royal list of knowledges that are forbidden. Not forbidden to the count, though, in the royal bloodline. But forbidden for common folk and common sorcerers. Sorcerers are called for arms during times of war. Basically meaning that sorcerers are the first ones to be drafted if there's a war. Because magic is so powerful, but also so draining and takes a toll on the practitioner, they are the first ones to be called for times of war. Which comes in for another character, Nimoon, who isn't a registered sorcerer because they are a pacifist. And they are a medicus sorcerer. So they do magic, they do healing. Their main thing is health, herbs, stuff like that. But they're not registered. They don't use their magic publicly. They just study it and say like, oh, I just like studying magic. But yeah. To define sorcerers themselves, though, they are not quite human, yet not quite elves, who don't play a large role in the story. I'm very, very sorry. At least not as now. They are the center of divine immortal and must be born into this species/path. So, essentially, you have to have a blood relative in your family tree to become a sorcerer. It's genetics, baby. But, yeah. As far as Thomas's character design goes, Lord, it was a doozy. His shoes I was so uncertain about, because I was like, ooh, they're kind of ugly, but then I finished it and I was like, oh, they're kind of cute. The royal crest was a pain to figure out as well. But, yeah, Thomas is one of my favorite characters. I adore him because he's just gone through so many different changes within his story. He went from being like, kind of a bad guy to being a not so bad guy. And I love him. I don't want to give too much of his backstory away. That's why I'm being relatively vague. But I will say that he does dabble in some of the forbidden magics. And his dynamic with the other characters is just, ooh, it's so good. I'm truly excited to continue talking and sharing about this story. But, yeah, that's all from me. I'll see you guys in the next video. And goodbye.